So VIP listeners, now on the mark, we have baseball legend Bret Boone. Well, listen, Bret, this is the On the Mark mock draft show, and we call it that because the mock draft prognostications, it's almost like weathermen. You know, they're wrong all the time. Even the Mel Kipers of the world, the Mache's of the world, all the draft gurus, they hit for a very low average with these draft picks.
Well, let me tell you this. I know nothing about anything
Nothing.
when it comes to football. But if the so-called professionals or the experts are the same as they are in baseball, well, then they probably don't know anything.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
But they know as much as I do on their sport.
Right.
Baseball.
So it's all even. Now, all right, let me ask you kind of a funny question here. Do you get into the Major League Baseball draft at all?
No. Oh, you mean the actual draft?
Yeah.
Well, a couple of years ago, I was working for the A's.
Right.
And, they'd send me out right at draft time, and then I'd submit my opinion on what I saw. So, yeah, at that time, I was very interested in, hey, these guys are the ones I turned in. I want to see, how we pick them, who they get picked by. So, yeah, it was definitely interesting for me then. But I had a reason.
Yeah.
It's like I spent time at the SEC tournament, and now I want to see, where we draft these guys. So, yeah, I had a little bit of skin in the game at that point. But
yeah, there was a personal connection.
I kind of keep up with friends of mine who has kids that might get drafted, and it's more of just an interest for me to see where my buddies' kids get drafted or my own son.
Right. What was your draft day like?
Oh, my draft day. Remember, I was junior at USC, and there was a lot of that preseason stuff, and I had an okay year, but I finished real strong in the regional, and I thought, that probably got me back in the first round, and I was the first pick in the fifth round, and I was not happy.
You were pissed off, huh?
Oh, I was angry.
Wow.
And I remember my dad laughing at me, saying, so what are you going to do, have him redo the draft? He said, the bottom line is, the draft's over. This is where you were picked. I would suggest to you cut the best deal you can and go play baseball.
Yeah.
Because if you're not good enough, you're going to have to get a job anyway.
Man, that's sound advice.
It's so sound. But when you're a 21-year-old naive kid who thought you were going to get picked in the first round, you don't want to hear that right then. But looking back, it was great advice. And now I know why my dad was laughing, because he knew the road I was about to go on and how tough it was to be a big leaguer, and really draft status has nothing to do with you making this, doing this for a living. It's all on you to go out and perform.
Yeah.
And, I look back years later and I laughed at that young kid sitting in that draft room, but yeah, it was interesting.
Were you teammates with Jack Del Rio?
No.
Okay. He would have been there before?
Yeah, before. I was class of 90.
Okay. So. Gotcha. Let me ask you a question. When you first got to USC, were you intimidated at all?
Not at all.
Not even a little bit, huh?
Not at all. No. I like we've talked about on previous shows, that was a different time in my life where I really had blinders on, and I didn't care what anybody said. They, try to give me a heads up. This is going to be this way or that way. No, I was just full steam as, no, I'm a freshman. I'm going to be an All-American. Then I'm going to go to the minor leagues, and I'm going to get to the big leagues quick. Then I'm going to be an all-star. And every step of the way, I just had that attitude.
Yeah.
And, it didn't take until I got to the big leagues finally. And I remember my first day there. I was sitting on a flight on the way to Baltimore, and it was my first time I ever flew in first class. And there was a businessman next to me, and he said, "Kid, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to play the Orioles." He said, "Come on."
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah." I
That's
said, "You want to go to the
awesome.
I can't go to the game tonight." He goes, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I don't know, but I'll tell you what, that first at bat, something's going to be hit hard somewhere." And I remember my first at bat, I got a base hit and an RBI, and I got to first, and I still had that attitude of, what am I, I came out of the minor leagues, and I was hitting I forget what I was hitting in Calgary that year, but I was hitting I don't know, 315, 320. And I just said, well, I'm going to hit 320 in the big leagues now. And then a month and a half later, I was sitting in my locker hitting 198, looking at my butt going, this is really hard. Yeah, it is. And it was a friend of mine who was, he was a big prospect, and he'd been on the shuttle for years going up and down, up and down. He said, it's really hard. You got to make an adjustment. And that was the first time I really got humbled, where, the big leagues is really hard, and I had to make adjustments. And, I got sent in and out a couple times when I first got called up. And, finally in 93, I stuck. But it was a lot of hard work, and that naive kid, I think parts of that were, I think, good. I see young kids nowadays, and if I see that sparkle in their eye and that true belief, not that put on belief, like I'm supposed to act this way. If I see someone truly that believes in themselves that great, I like those guys.
All right,
even
you're
if
firing me up right now. You're actually motivating
even
the
if,
hell out of me, because you could translate this into multiple industries here, multiple professions. That attitude, that ass kicker attitude.
But you can't fake confidence.
Right,
you're not
that's so damn true.
You're not going to be able to fool me. I've seen a lot of young players, 6'3" and 220 pounds, and they can fly, and they've got a great arm and a lot of bat speed. And around the clubhouse, they can talk a good game, like I'm the man, this and that. But I want that kid that when he goes back to his hotel room and it's just him all by himself looking in the mirror when he gets out of the shower. The kid that looks in the mirror and believes how good he is, that's the kid I want. because you can't fake that. You can't fake that. It's something that's ingrained in you, or you've got to learn how to do that. Learn how to trick your brain, I call it. But that goes with a lot of sacrifice. But I had that, and I think that's I give that a little credence to why I made it in the first place. I look back at that kid over the years and I laugh at him, because I had no idea what was in front of me, and how tough of a road and how much hard work I had to put in. But like I said, the game will humble you, and that's why when I was a veteran player and young players would come up, a lot of times we'll get hazed and you have to wear a dress, or several times I'd come to my locker my rookie year, and my suit, all the buttons on my suit were cut off.
Oh my God!
My shirt.
Hazing's illegal now, Brett. You do that, you do a 10-year
Well,
minimum sentence.
They didn't do anything bad. They made me wear a dress on a charter plane. How bad could it be? And that was a part of the deal, and I embraced it. I thought, I'm a rookie. I got to go through this like everybody else. When I got older and I was a veteran, I would always support whatever was going on. It was always something fun. But I never really gave the guys a heart. As long as the young man or the rookie would come up, and first, as long as they respected the players that had tenure, I didn't care if they were cocky, whatever they wanted to do, because I didn't need to be the one to humble them. And I always use the scenario of, Greg Maddux is pitching tonight. He's going to humble this guy. I don't.
Yeah. Right, of course.
That's how you're going to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And just like I did, just like the players before me and the players after me, we all learn our own way. The big leagues is a really hard place to hit, and until you learn how to do it, and like I said, you're gonna get your lunch handed to you more times than one, and it's how you come back. And the true players and the players that reach high levels in this game, they're the ones that get knocked to the floor, get back up, and find a way to get through it.
No doubt. Now, Brett, same thing happens in the NFL draft. A lot of these first-round pick, second-round pick guys, they'll get humbled quickly, whether it's at training camp shortly after or even before. The Seahawks, your Seattle Seahawks, we're going to call them, so for all those years you played in Seattle, are picking at 18. We know you've been doing your research. We know you've been doing your homework. I did my research.
Yeah. So I do know that. I do know that.
Who do we have them taking for the On the Mark mock draft?
Okay. Let's see. I don't have them taking anybody. Well, maybe.
Conceding the pick here?
Here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Schneider might trade Earl Thomas to the Cowboys, which in return he'll get the 22nd pick.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm writing this down.
If he does that, he'll get the 22nd pick, which will be Dallas's pick.
Right.
Now he'll have the 18th and the 22nd. He'll trade the 22nd pick for 2 second rounds or a second round and a third round, whatever he can negotiate.
Okay.
Okay, but now he'll still have the 18th pick. And if the lineman from UW,
Vita Vea,
if he is available at 18, they'll take him.
Okay, there it
Now,
is.
if they don't trade Earl Thomas, they'll trade their first-round pick, 18, for the same scenario. Second round and a third-round pick or 2 third-round picks, whatever they can negotiate.
So
But their D-line is going to be what they go after because that's what Schneider and Carroll like. And they also need a cornerback. But I think because they don't have a second or third round pick this year, they're going to try to get multiple picks if they have to trade their first round pick. And I think if they are making a trade for picks, if the Earl Thomas thing doesn't go through, I think they're going to trade their 22nd pick and they're probably going to deal with Cleveland.
What, and move up?
Because Cleveland, I think Cleveland has 2 second-round picks.
Oh, I see
and
what
a
you're
couple
saying.
third-round picks.
Yes, they do.
So there's multiple scenarios I came up with. That's pretty good for a rookie.
Now, wow, you might need to be a GM somewhere in this NFL. That's a lot of wheeling and dealing. I like guys who wheel and deal.
I think that's what's going to happen.
You know.
So,
all right, it's
what's
documented.
His name?
Vita Vea. Yeah, Vita Vea.
Oh, also, Vita Vea, he had a couple sacks on the Trojan quarterback, I think, 2 years ago.
Sam Darnold.
I think he sacked him twice, not last year, the year before.
Okay, that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, yeah. Your USC brethren right there, Sam Darnold.
You got it.
Bret?
Now, where's Darnold going to go? I'm going to ask you.
Well, we had a very nice sports talk show host here in Philly. Great guy, Anthony Gargano from 97.5 The Fanatic. He did the Browns picks. He had the Browns taking Saquon Barkley first overall, and then he had the Browns taking Sam Darnold with the 4th overall pick.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, and it's interesting to me because football,
Yeah,
football's
right.
so different than baseball.
Sure.
Because of what you have to do for the draft, you have to declare. Whereas in baseball, you don't have to declare.
Yeah, you could go
So
back.
I'm thinking all these times, when these quarterbacks declare after their junior year, they have to know something. It's like because you've given up your college senior year. So by doing that, you have to know that, well, I'm kind of guaranteed to go in the first 2 rounds or the first round or whatever. So, I mean, what if it was like the baseball draft where, go back to myself. In 1990, where I was projected preseason to go in first round. All of a sudden, I kind of have an okay year, but I finished really strong.
Well,
Thinking, all right, now I might be a second round pick, but first, and then I go in the 5th round. What if something happens to a quarterback where he gives up his senior year, like Sam did, and you never see those guys getting picked in the 10th round?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And it goes back to a prior conversation that we both had on this show. 2 sport athletes, like when John Elway said, "Hey, I'm just going to go play for the Yankees." And when Bo Jackson said, "I'm gonna go play baseball," and then
well, they're using their leverage.
Exactly, and you certainly can't blame anybody for that.
Well, I'm interested because obviously I'm very kind of, I'm a fan of sport.
I know.
About that
Me and you.
But I'm not a big time fan. I still there's a piece of my heart growing up in Jersey that I still kind of root for the Philly teams.
Very cool.
I still kind of do that. I went to USC, so of course I root for USC. My daughter goes there. Now I'm forced to root for the Yankees
Yeah, yeah. And
with Aaron being there.
what are you hearing out of the Bronx? How's Aaron?
He's doing good.
Adapting?
I actually just got back. I went on a trip back there, and I went to Princeton to see my son play a few games, and then I shot up and went to Yankee Stadium and saw Aaron and watched them play a few games. So they're doing good. Aaron's gonna do great. He's
Yes.
I just laugh at the social media and if they lose a game and it's Aaron Boone's not ready for this. I look at it like, oh really?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Tell me
Yeah.
what being ready is,
Yeah.
please. I'd really like to know.
Yeah. When
Enlighten me here.
exactly. When people come.
But Aaron's gonna be great. He's a good guy first and foremost. People like him, and he's really a high IQ when it comes to this game.
No question about
And me and him definitely argue on some, the up to date, the analytics and everything. I'm open to some analytics,
it.
him more than me. So, we'll talk about something. He'll go, what do you mean? You can't. I said, are you serious? You're really going from the era you played to Mr. Analytical now. So
Wow.
it's kind of funny. We can debate stuff like that. But, he's got a great staff around him. He's got some really good players. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is if Stanton hits 2 homers and drives in 5 runs and Judge hits a homer, they're probably going to win.
No question
And if
about
those
it.
guys have, if the offense has a rough day, probably going to get their butt kicked,
Yeah.
So as a manager, when the players play well, you win and they're going to get the credit. When you lose, you're going to get blamed for it.
Oh, no question.
So there's a no-win situation, but that's what going into the job, especially that high profile of a job for his first job. Of course, he's going to be critiqued every day by the talk shows, but he's well aware of that, and that's not going to affect how he goes forward. And I think he's going to do a real good job. And it's cool that it's a very young team and a very talented team. If you look up and down, it's just whether they pitch enough is going to determine how they finish this year.
Sure. Here in Philly, Gabe Kapler, he was booed on opening day. Meanwhile, the
Yeah,
Phillies are like
I
14
was
and
laughing
7,
at that.
right? The Phillies
Yeah, I
are
was
playing
laughing
well.
at that. Right after last year being the worst team in baseball.
Yep.
And all of a sudden they're off to a great start. Now Gabe's the king of the city.
No
I mean, that's
question.
how sports are. You know that.
Yes. Yes.
It has nothing to do with Gabe. Players
No.
are playing really well. He might be giving them a nudge one way or the other and doing his job. But the bottom line is, I've learned this a long time ago. If you ain't got the horses, you ain't going to win. It doesn't matter.
Yep. Yep.
Joe Torre, Hall of Fame manager, right? How did he do in St. Louis when he didn't have a good team?
How did
It doesn't matter.
Terry Francona do with the Phillies? And now he's pushing
It
the
does-
Hall of
right.
Fame,
It just doesn't matter. You got to have the horses.
Mm-hmm.
You
No
know?
question about it.
So-
Bret, you're our horse, Bret. We always appreciate you coming on the mark. Thank you so much. I love the Vita Vea pick. I love the wheeling and dealing. And I'll talk to you soon, man. I'm pulling for these Yankees.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Bret, you're the man. Later.